Your nearby Dodge dealers are running out of room, so we're offering you 7.5% financing or up to $1,500 cash back on selected 85 Dodge cars and pickups. Your buyer's best deal on Aries, Omnis, Chargers, on full-size Ram Tough pickups, Lancers, and Daytonas, including the one you want.
Catch the great deals now at North Point Dodge, I-35 at the St. John's exit.
Break from the ordinary at
Game 2 of the 1969 World Series to watch infield practice and Brooks Robinson. Brooks Robinson, the man with a magic mitt and great hands. The American League's annual Golden Glove winner explains his game-saving play on Rod Gaspar.
Well, I think the secret of the play is to keep in mind that you cannot look at the runner, and if the ball has stopped or is coming to a halt, always use your bare hand. And consequently, when I feel the ball with my bare hand, I always come up and throw overhand.
Colorful pregame activities seem to brighten hopes for a New York Mets bounce back. Rooting for the Mets to get even, St. Louis manager Red Shadings, the great Stan the Man Musial, National League President Warren Giles, and the owner of the Mets, Mrs. Joan Payson. Starting pitchers are left-handers Dave McNally and Jerry Koosman. Mrs. Babe Ruth, accompanied by Ted Williams, Commissioner Bowie Kuhn, and Joe DiMaggio, throws out the first ball. 20-game winner Dave McNally holds the Mets scoreless in the first 3 innings, aided by outstanding Oriole fielding. Here's that play again, slowed down. Tommy Agee seems to have a base hit, but Mark Belanger displays the skills which have made him one of baseball's outstanding shortstops. Not to be outdone, Jerry Koosman gets some sparkling support too, and it happens to come from his shortstop, Bud Harrelson. In slow motion, it looks as though Harrelson doesn't have a chance. Top of the 4th, a scoreless tie. Don Clendenin batting for New York. Don tags it, and the Mets take the lead 1-0. That home run, incidentally, ends a streak of 23 scoreless innings compiled by McNally in postseason competition. McNally retires the next 2 Mets. Now Jerry Grody's up. Brooks Robinson charges in and duplicates the great play he made in the first game. The Birds have one of the best ground crews in baseball, or is it the best looking? 13-year-old Linda Wareheim has a dusting routine midway through the game that completely charms the Mets third base coach, Eddie Yost. Linda almost has Eddie rooting for the Orioles. Almost. Going into the bottom of the 7th, tension in the stands mounts as Jerry Koosman is working on a no-hitter. Can Koosman join Don Larson as a World Series no-hit pitcher? There are only 9 outs to go as Paul Blair leads off. And there it goes, a clean hit through the left side. The first one off Jerry Koosman in the 2nd game of the World Series. 2 outs later, Blair is still on first. On the second pitch to Brooks Robinson, Blair gets a big jump and heads for second. And he has it. Brooks Robinson, a great clutch hitter, steps up and drives the next pitch through the middle. Blair scores from second, and the Orioles tie it up at 1-all. With Brooks Robinson at first, Ed Charles comes up with an outstanding play to end the inning. Even in slow motion, that ball looks like it's hit like a bullet. But Charles snares it on the bounce. In the Mets' top of the 9th with 2 down and the score still tied at 1-1, Ed Charles shows he can do things with his bat, too. The Mets finally hit a ball past Brooks Robinson and now have the possible go-ahead run on first base. With a count 2-2 and Jerry Grote batting, Gil Hodges puts on the hit and run. Grote finds the same hole, and Charles wheels all the way to third on the single to left. McNally now faces Al Weiss, one of the Mets' modest heroes. Base hit. Ed Charles comes home, and the Mets are back in front 2-1. Koosman ends the Mets' ninth as he bounces out. Belanger to Powell. McNally, who's pitched a fine game, needs runs as the Mets lead 2-1. With 2 out in the last of the ninth and Frank Robinson coming up, manager Gil Hodges sends second baseman Al Weiss to the outfield. The Mets now have 4 outfielders. Gil explains his strategy.
We played 4 outfielders with Frank Robinson at bat, mainly to cut down the chances of getting an extra base hit. If we can keep Frank Robinson on first base, why, we have a much better chance of winning.
Koosman walks Robinson. Frank seems to limp a little from a sore left foot. Koosman now has to face Big Boog Powell, the Baltimore cleanup batter. Powell walks. The tying run goes to second. Powell's on first, and the always dangerous Brooks Robinson coming up. Out of the dugout comes manager Hodges to replace Koosman. The young left-hander expresses his feelings at this moment.
I was a little depressed not being able to finish the ball game, but after I heard all the applause, it kind of left my mind, and I was real thankful just to be able to play in a World Series.
As Ron Taylor comes in to relieve, the situation is ticklish for the Mets. Brooks Robinson's the batter. Powell's on first, and pinch runner Marv Rettenmund is on second. On the 3-2 pitch, both runners are going. A ground ball to third. Ed Charles makes a split-second decision, throws to first. Out! The game is over. The Mets win it 2-1. Their first World Series victory. And the series is now tied at 1 game apiece.